This is Mr. Anderson for Kellogg Community College, Math 121, Section 3 of Chapter 6, Complex Rational Expressions. This is when we have some addition inside of a fraction, so we are going to do quite some extensive problems in this two-part video here. What we need to do is, and you'll notice that this is kind of really magnified. You may want lined paper for this, depending on how much room you're going to need. But what I want to impress is that we need to do, this problem has multiple steps. And it's best taken as two separate problems. Like, you'll notice that this numerator and this denominator really see these as separate problems. And so what I'm going to do is color code these. The top problem is going to be done in blue, and the bottom problem is going to be done in red. So let me quickly change this to red here. And that way you can kind of follow what I'm doing until I get to the very end of the problem. There we go. Can hardly see it now. Okay, so now let's move to the numerator. What we're going to do first is we're going to simplify this expression as much as we can, and then we're going to switch to the bottom and simplify that expression as much as we can, and then divide the two fractions. So in our first expression here, our common denominator is going to be x to the fourth. So I'm going to take my first fraction, which is 5x squared. I'm going to multiply by 1. So to make that into an x to the fourth, I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by x squared. And then I'm going to add my 3 over x to the fourth power. Now what this will change this top expression into 5x squared plus 3 divided by x to the fourth power. Since I got my common denominators, I can put that under that. Now let me change to red and work with my work down here. So my common denominator here, by coincidence, is going to be x to the fourth power. Now, since I do not like subtraction, I'm going to add a negative. So I'm going to take my first expression, my 3 over x, and I'm going to multiply by, in this case, x cubed over x cubed. And then I'm going to go plus negative 2 over x to the 4. And now I put these together. So this is my problem. 3 times x cubed is 3x cubed. And then the plus negative 2. So I'm just going to go plus negative 2, which is the same thing as minus 2. And then what we'll have in my denominator is x to the fourth. Now you'll notice that that was my numerator in blue and my denominator in red. Now using the color green, I will show you that these are still fractions that are above each other. So this is above this. So what we're going to do is divide these two. Now dividing fractions, please don't cry. Just invert and multiply. Now when I move that up to multiply it, and I'll put the multiplication symbol here, I'm going to change it back to red and show you that this fraction does flip. So this becomes x to the fourth in the numerator, and this becomes 3x cubed minus 2 in the denominator. Now we're going to put these together over here, and I'll do so in green. All right, and that will make it so that this and this is cross-simplified. So now I have 5x squared plus 3. And there's nothing I can do to factor anything out there. And 3x cubed minus 2. And this is my simplified answer when I divide these two fractions, which had fractions inside of them. So these problems are really testing your limits of how well you can, keep up some good calculations without making mistakes. And I will also try to be as mistake-free as possible here. Going to problem 2, and here, let me move some things out of the way. All right, going to problem 2. It looks like we have to get a common denominator of xy. So what I'm going to do is take my first fraction here. I'm going to take my 9 over x and multiply that by 1, so my y over y. And I really don't, again, I don't really like my subtraction sign, so I'm going to add a negative. So my negative 5 here is going to be over y is going to be multiplied by, I'll put this in a circle there, x over x. And what I'll do is then kind of compute this out here. I've got 9y minus 5x. That may not be the right order, but I'll fix that in the next part of the problem. And this is going to get multiplied by xy. and that is my numerator simplified. What I'll now do is change to green here. So we'll go to color green, or red in this case for my denominator. Alright, and we'll do the same thing. This is a 4 over x, so what I'm going to do is take my 4 over x and multiply by y. So y over y. This is going to give me my common denominator of xy for this part. And this is going to be 1 over y. Multiply both sides. Multiply this by x over x. So what I have now is I have 4y plus 1x, or just x, all divided by xy. Now what I need to do is I need to bring that to the top, because these two are still considered part of a fraction. And to bring this to the top here, I'm going to need to flip the red fraction, or flip the denominator, because dividing fractions is skip, flip, multiply. So let us go to red here and show you that my numerator is now xy, and this is going to be 4y plus x. Now, there's nothing to factor out of this blue numerator or this red denominator, but with my green pen, I will show you where I can cancel the similarities here. This is the xy that gets simplified with this. So now what I have is negative 5x plus 9y, I just changed that around, is over x plus 4y. And there's nothing to simplify here because we've gotten really nothing left to do, because you can't pull a common term out. There's just no other tricks to do. So there's the first two problems. Alright, let's move on down here to the third and fourth problems. Alright, so let's see how this changes. Let me get to blue and work with my numerator. Now what's kind of nice is you'll notice that my numerator has no fixes or no changes right there. And you might be saying to yourself, well, maybe we should factor that out. Well, that might help, so let's do some factoring here. So my numerator becomes x plus y, x minus y, divided by xy. So, yeah, okay, so that's that. Now, my red term doesn't need to be, changed or factored at all, so let's just kind of, get my green pen out here to show that I need to take this up to the top. I need to multiply instead of divide, so that means my red fraction here is going to have to flip, and it's going to flip by turning into y over x plus y. Now, I'm going to get my green pen out again, and I'm going to show you that I can do some simplifying here through the magic of color. What things can we crisscross simplify? Well, the x plus y's, so that binomial goes away with that binomial, and this monomial, this xy, goes away with this monomial, this y, so what I have left is x minus y in the numerator, and x in the denominator. That's it. That is the end of problem 3. Problem number 4. Whoa, look at that weird numerator with those x to the negative 1 power problems. This might be a little bit of a tricky thing for you to remember from your previous course, but x to the negative 1 power is like writing, and I'm just doing the numerator here, it's like writing 1 over x, because it's x to the negative 1, so it's 1x in the denominator plus 1 over y. Now, we cannot use this yet because we do not have a common denominator. So we have to get a common denominator, and we will do so by multiplying the first one by 1, or y over y. And we'll multiply the second one by x, which is x over x. Alright, let's keep pushing this together. This first one is going to be y plus x over x times y. There's our common denominator. That is the entire numerator changed from here to 1 over x, 1 over y, common denominator of xy, and then here. Now we can flip these around if we want to, and you're going to find out that that's probably going to be necessary. Let's go tackle the denominator. I'll get my red pen out here. Let's take a look. Now what I'm going to do is split this up. This is going to be x squared minus y squared. So this is going to be x plus y times x minus y over xy. Sorry, it's a little sloppy there. So, oh shoot, it's xy, not x minus y. Ah, yes, that looks awful, but that is x minus y. gosh. Ah, that's the same thing. It looks like a terrible 7. All right, so with my green pen, since these are both considered fractions, I've got to move this denominator over to this numerator. See, this is still being divided, so I got to kind of flip this around and put a multiply symbol there. So that means I'm going to change to my red pen and I'm going to rewrite that wonderfully written problem there. So my xy is going to be put in the numerator. There's my xy. Sorry, that looks so bad. And then in the denominator, I'm going to have x plus y, x minus y. Well, what's cool about this is that you notice that we're going to have some simplification to do. So in the simplification here, we're going to, oops, hold on a second here. So we're going to have x minus y. All right, change to green here. All right, so here's some simplification. The xy's, they do cancel or simplify. But check this out. I've got y plus x and x plus y. That's the same thing. They're going to simplify. So I have nothing left in my numerator, so that's going to be a 1. And in the denominator will be x minus y. That is the end of that problem there. So again, sorry for that. That really just should be x minus xy. Nothing changed. And again, to reiterate, this y plus x is the same thing as x plus y because that's using the commutative property of adding. All right. 2 more problems to end this video. All right, now what is this mess? This looks like a very awful hamburger. So looking at the numerator, this just becomes fun with factoring. Can you think of 2 numbers to multiply to make negative 12 and add to make negative 1? Sure you can. X minus 4 and x plus 3. How about this part of the denominator? Can you think of 2 numbers to multiply to make negative 15 and add to make negative 2? Sure can. X minus 5, x plus 3. All right, and that's going to be over what's going to be in red. So let me go change to the red color there. Okay, so here we go. Red pen here. 2 numbers to multiply to make 12 and add to make 8. Well, that's x plus 2, x plus 6. 2 numbers to multiply to make 14 and add to make negative 5. Well, that's x minus 7 and x plus 2. Now, it's time to get the green simplifying pen, but before we do any simplifying, you'll notice that these are still split up in the middle, like there's the fraction right there. Well, these x minus plus 3's are going to simplify out, and these x plus 2's are going to simplify out, and now what we have is to bring this up to the top with a multiplication sign. So let's get out my red pen and show you how that would look. Well, my x plus 6 is now going to be on the bottom, so here's my x plus 6. And my x minus 7 is going to be on top. And so my answer is really just that. My answer is the numerator wise is going to be x minus 4, x minus 7. And my denominator is going to be x minus 5 and x plus 6. All right, and that, my friends, is the answer to that problem, which could get canceled, and nothing else is going to get simplified here. Nothing else is going to get simplified because these are not matches, but you could easily match them up here. Okay, finally, problem number 6 for the end of this part 1 of 2 parts to this worksheet. Let me go change to blue. All right, so what's my common, let's look at this, just the numerator here. So what's my common denominator? Well, my common denominator is x. You'll notice this doesn't have a denominator, so I have to take my 7 and multiply it by a big ol' 1, which is x over x, minus 1 over x. Again, I don't like subtraction signs, so I usually add the negative. So what this gives me here is 7x minus 1 over x. Now we're going to look at our denominator, change to red. And I'm going to get a common denominator. My denominator is going to be x over here. So again, don't like subtraction, so I add a negative. So this is going to be 1 over x plus negative 3 times the quantity of x over x. So this gives me 1 minus 3x over x. And we use our green pen to show that this is part of This is still part of a fraction like so. So I need to bring this up to the top. Flip and multiply. Skip, flip, multiply. So I'm going to flip and multiply this, changing back to red. So that's going to be 1 minus 3x over... Oh, shoot. Sorry. I did not flip it. Okay. It goes x over 1 minus 3x. Sorry about my little mistake there. The x's do cross out because they do simplify. So let me get my green pen to show that. All right. So the x's are crisscross simplified. You would say cross canceled, but it's technically simplified. So my answer is going to be 7x minus 1 over 1 minus 3x. Now, even if I factor a negative 1 out and change this to 3x minus 1, that's still really simplified. There's really nothing else I can do here to work with the problem. So that is the end of that, and it's the end of the first video. So stay tuned for the next one where we'll do more problems to add to this section. Thanks for watching.